Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new book in the Warrior Cat series, The Elder's Quest. The first book in the most recent arc. I'm excited, you know what? Going in, I was optimistic. You know, we had some returning protagonists that seemed interesting. A new protagonist that everyone they didn't hate Moonpaw. More so, there were different controversial aspects of Moonpaw, which, you know, that was fun to read about. But regardless, I'm going to be reading this arc, like, when it comes out. Now, just to kind of set the groundwork, this isn't going to be like a ramble. This is just going to be like an initial look. No, nothing like, this is not going to be like an hour-long video. I'm not going to go too in-depth. That's going to be saved for when I eventually reread it, you know, when I catch up on the Warrior Cat series. With all that said, let's get into the meat of it. So first off, the overall plot. Now, like a lot of us kind of predicted, this book is purely, and this arc as a whole, is kind of setting up a Great Journey Part 2 Electric Boogaloo. Which I think for a lot of us, where we're kind of like, we don't really like that. I mean, like, there isn't an inherent problem with doing another Great Journey inherently. It's more so the fact that, like, you're doing another Great Journey. Like, what's really the point? Can you justify it? And does this book justify that? Not yet, but maybe. Because, I mean, the book isn't terrible. I actually like the book quite a bit. I can't really recall the last time I enjoyed a main series book like this, because I have read the first book of The Broken Code, and I enjoyed it better than Vision of Shadows. But this book was also quite excellent. Dare say it's probably my favorite book that I've read since, like, I don't know, The Apprentice's Quest, because I like that book as well, but for very different reasons. And I don't know, I think I really enjoyed what the book had to offer. I mean, first off, overall, the book was a lot darker than I expected. Like, this foreboding atmosphere that, like, everything's going to go wrong. If anything, if we are comparing this to the New Prophecy and, like, what it did, this is a lot better job. Not just because they already know kind of what is probably going to happen, but just the way it's written. Like, the way this book is written compared to, like, previous books, I don't know how to quite describe it. It's just gives us this very, like, dark atmosphere that radiates through everyone. Like, everyone kind of, they know that something's going to happen. And they know that something horrible, bad, and explosive is going to occur. But they can't quite tell what yet. And that's kind of terrifying for them. But they can't bring themselves to say they are terrified. I don't know. It's kind of that thing where, like, you have to read it to kind of understand it. But I don't know. It's kind of up to you guys. And first off, all the POVs, because this is much to my chagrin, and I've talked about this before, I didn't think that having 3 POVs for this book was a good idea. But I was wrong. This book actually does a pretty good idea with the 3 POVs. Yeah, it's really well done. You know, Leafstar, really good. I enjoyed hers. Tawnypelt, honestly, the standout of the book. I was really surprised. I did not expect Tawnypelt's POV to be my favorite, you know, part of this book, barring a few things. And even Moonpaw, which I think a lot of us were very skeptical about, I really enjoyed it. She's a very fresh take on The Apprentice. And, you know, they didn't do the whole medicine cat thing, but I'll get there in a sec. But overall, I really did enjoy this book. Now, is it perfect? No. By no stretch of the imagination is this a perfect book. But I think what it's intending to do is quite smart. Because this book's a setup book. It's setting up the rest of the plot of the series, but it's not really giving it away immediately. Now you're going to say, like, other books have done this. Yeah, other books have done this where the first book doesn't really give a lot away, but it sets up the larger series. But this time, there isn't a vibe. Like, in other books, like stuff like The Sun Trail, or The Apprentice's Quest, or, like, you know, The Sight. Even though those books were set up, and they were kind of giving us a vibe for the book, we could kind of already get, like, a general idea of what was going to happen. This time, I have no idea what's going to happen. Now, part of that is because that this book doesn't have a synopsis or a title for the next book, but genuinely, I have no idea where this series is going to go. And that's kind of exciting. I like not knowing what's going to happen, learning the mystery alongside everyone else. I think that's going to be quite enjoyable. Although, speaking of criticism I have with the book, the biggest problem with this book is the title. So the title of the book is The Elder's Quest. And, there's no quest, and technically speaking, there aren't any elders. Because despite Tawnypelt and Leafstar being old, Leafstar is a leader who is considering stepping down, but we'll get there later. And, Tawnypelt, she's a senior warrior, but nowhere near considering retirement. It's never even brought up for her. So, as far as, calling it, The Elder's Quest, it's really not. I mean, compare this to the last time we had a book title like this, The Apprentice's Quest. Alderpaw went on a quest to find Skyland. He was an apprentice. The title makes sense. This book's title is kind of pointless. Now, I don't know what you would call it, otherwise, but I don't know, I was a little underwhelmed. Granted, when I was reading the book, I never really considered the title, but at the same time, well, what was the point? I don't know, that's just a me thing. But let's kind of move on to our characters, the reason we read these books. So first off, Leafstar. So Leafstar is a returning protagonist. She was the protagonist of the SkyClan's Destiny Super Edition, as well as her own graphic novel, although it was also called SkyClan. Yeah, she's never been a named protagonist, unfortunately. But hey, I actually enjoyed her in both of those instances, so it's really cool to see her return. I was interested because in the synopsis, she was said to have, losing her sight, and she was questioning whether she should be leader still. That kind of was taken up to 11, but also to 1. So first off, she's having these, weird dreams and visions, and the reason I point this out is because the way it's written, part of that does lead into, the dark and foreboding atmosphere I talked about. Because it starts off as, dreams. She's dreaming of SkyClan's past. But then it morphs into, these horrifying visions. I say horrifying. They're not, Firestar visions where, he sees, the bone hill and blood spewing everywhere. It's more it's unsettling. She doesn't know what's happening. Leafstar has no idea why she's having these visions and what they mean. And neither do we, because the book doesn't answer it, which is strange. Because again, in the past we've had, visions like this, not just from Firestar, but also stuff Leafpool, or Jayfeather, or any other Medicine Cat apprentice. We kind of get a sense of what their vision is talking about because it's usually resolved in that book. This time, it isn't. And I think that's interesting because it kind of leads into us, spending the rest of the couple books figuring out, okay, what exactly does this mean? And, who knows? Maybe the visions, which by the end of the visions, they're really harrowing. Dead people walking around, very ominous, stuff happening. You would have to read it to kind of, it's kind of hard to put into words. But I'm kind of wondering, are they going to take these visions further? And if they do, what will that look like? I don't know. I'm just interested to see where that goes. Although, while I did say that they did kind of, part of the reason we were excited for this arc, for her perspective, is she's losing her sight, they didn't lean into that nearly as much as I thought they would. They only really do it twice. Once where she accidentally attacks one of her clanmates when she's trying to fight a badger, and the second time when she falls off a cliff, as you do. I know, I just kind of felt like they would lean into it a bit more. It's never really brought up from her clanmates. In fact, anything, they don't know that she's losing her sight. Which granted could lead into further drama in the next book, but who knows. Also, speaking of the next book, something really weird happens. So, because of stuff that happened in the Broken Code in the Starless Clan, which I haven't really read, but I can kind of get the gist of, the code has been changed so that apparently the clan can vote to have their leader step down. If 3/4 of the clan, in this case SkyClan, votes for Leafstar to step down, she will. And they try it once, but it fails. They try it again, and it succeeds. And so they take it to the clan leaders, which all have to approve, which I think is kind of biased. I don't know. And here's the thing. The clan leaders, they don't really want to do it, but Leafstar says, you know what? I'll go to StarClan. I'll ask them if I can step down. And that's literally the last chapter she's in. And I'm just kind of really? really, you're going to save her going to StarClan and asking if she can step down to the next book? I don't know. For me, it just kind of feels like that would be a this book kind of thing. If anything, it would be like the end of book thing, like the last chapter. She going to ask StarClan, hey, can I step down? Them saying no, because they probably will. And then her coming to the realization that, like, the reason she can't step down is because there's a danger, and she has to be around for the danger. But of course, it also leans itself to more drama, because, like, obviously they might not trust StarClan for leaving her as leader, or they say that she lied. But I don't know, saving to the next book, unless it's in the prologue, I don't really see a reason why you saved it to the next book. I know the author situation is kind of weird with like Kate stepping down, and we don't really know if they had a replacement or like how far in advance they were aware of Kate stepping down. I don't know. But it's kind of weird. Overall, I liked it. She was still very consistent with what her personality was and who she was as a person. I liked it. But now the good part, Tawnypelt. Another returning protagonist, technically. She had a novella. Was it novella? I think it was a novella. She had a novella appearance, which apparently wasn't very good because it was a tribe book and a traveling book. I haven't read it. But she's also a major character ever since the first arc. She's been a very, powerful supporting character. And honestly, she was a highlight of this book. I really enjoyed her perspective. Like, the one criticism I would have with Leafstar is that both her and Tawnypelt kind of had the quote-unquote old plot. They're older women, they're older protagonists, and, that is brought into account. But I feel like Tawnypelt's was done better, in so much that, like, her having more experience and being more knowledgeable and being right was better shown. Not to say I don't think Leafstar's quote-unquote old plot was bad, I just think it was lacking the kind of extra spice that Tawnypelt's got. But I don't know, that's kind of up to other people. But the big thing about Tawnypelt was in the leaks, which is her falling in love with Crowfeather. Now here's the thing. The leaks did not paint this in a very good picture. Having read the book now, it still ain't great, but it's not nearly as bad as we think it was. Part of that is because it's not really brought up too terribly much. It's weird. It's kind of a slow burn. Like, she's kind of like, she's questioning it, she's unsure about it, and then her dead husband comes in and says, hey, you can do it, because in heaven, there are weird rules. Honestly, I think that's their roundabout way of saying, yeah, Greystripe has 2 wives and stuff like that. I don't know. It's weak. It's really weak. I feel like, even though I don't think the relationship is inherently a good thing, I would have felt better if Tawnypelt came to the decision that she wanted to, rather than Rowan-Claw specifically saying, yeah, you can pursue love. I don't know, that was just kind of weird. And also the way he phrased it was like, it was just really awkward. I don't know. There is the potential for this going really badly. 100%. But at the same time, there is the potential for this to actually be very sweet. Because they could take the angle. Because, if they want Tawnypelt and Crowfeather to get together, it could be interesting. Because for a lot of word cats, the end goal of relationships, of like romantic relationships, is to have kids, that have children. But as older cats, and as like, an older potential couple, Crowfeather and Tawnypelt technically wouldn't be something they would probably be interested in for logistics or practical reasons. They would purely be romantic. And granted, they also could take the platonic route. Like, it's a platonic love, both of them have had loss. Both of them are a part of a generation that is so distant from everyone else. They find companionship with each other. If they take that route, where it's a love, but not like the love that we often see with warrior cats, that could be interesting. And I dare say I'm optimistic they'll take that route. But at the same time, being realistic here, there is the chance for them to mess it up. 100%. But, we'll see. We'll see. The next book. I don't know. I'm hopeful, but not that hopeful. And finally, let's talk about our brand new protagonist that was the subject of a lot of controversy. whether it be due to her parents being related, whether it be the fact that she's a chimera, or just because other reasons. I don't know. I don't follow that much discourse. Moonpaw. I'm a little surprised by Moonpaw. I think I was very concerned that she would be forced to become a medicine cat. I thought, like, we have 2 older, ladies. They're not going to be medicine cats. No way. They're going to force Moonpaw to become a medicine cat. And they don't do that. I was surprised because, so initially her parents do want her to become a medicine cat. They think because she's a chimera, she should become a medicine cat. And also because she has heterochromia. And she tries it out. She first did a warrior apprentice, and then she's like, you know what, maybe I should be a medicine cat. She tries it. She's actually pretty decent at it. But then eventually she decides, no, I want to become a warrior. And I think it's interesting because Jay Feather says, listen, if you choose to become a warrior, you can never change your mind. Which I think for me is like the author saying, hey, we're not making her a medicine cat. And I think that's awesome. For those who recall, I did a video several months ago about the fact that I don't think we need a medicine cat POV, at least for a while. And, they subverted my expectations. I'm genuinely surprised by that. And if anything, I think Moonpaw making the decision not only to become a medicine cat, but also to leave becoming a medicine cat was really powerful. She had a lot of initiative. Again, I was very shocked they went that direction. But then again, it was done really well. So, applause to them. Little claps. And there's also some interesting stuff. First off, the voice. Her dead sister, because how chimeras work. I'm not going to go into it. If you know, you know. If you don't know, look it up. I don't want to get that technical here. Point is, her sister that actually was born, apparently, but was still born, she's like a voice in her head that exists on like a different dimensional plane, separate from StarClan and separate from the Dark Forest. And that's not a joke. Like literally, she exists on a different dimensional plane where she apparently can see slips in time. Although granted, the book doesn't say that's true or not. She says that in the book, but at the same time, it's kind of implied that she's lying and merely manipulated the situation so that it worked in her favor. I don't know. It's kind of open to interpretation, I guess. But yeah, it was a lot. But I think it's interesting. This is like really strange. The malicious child. I don't know. It's an interesting trope. We'll see where it goes. There's not a lot to grasp on at the moment. Like, we don't know what the end goal is. Like, the initial end goal for this voice is that she just wants to play with her sister forever. She's a child. She doesn't know much. She just wants to play. It's understandable to an extent. But, I don't know. Could they take it in a different direction? Could the malicious child voice be being manipulated by someone else? Who knows? We'll see. Again, a lot of this book is set up. And a lot of this book is setting up potentially good storylines. Which, is interesting. Tawnypelt being like a leader and being the focal point for this arc. That's really interesting. Leafstar maybe being forced to step down and maybe being refused. Losing her sight. A warrior with like a disability that is like, not that they were born with, not something that came upon them, but something that due in part to old age. And that could be a powerful story. And Moonpaw having this malicious voice, kind of being caught between two worlds, and potentially being a part of a prophecy. I mean, Tawnypelt is warned to beware the cat with two faces, with a paw in each world. That's scary. That's ominous. Now, granted, the books that follow could mess it up. They could fall through. We've had arcs that have a great start, build up to something cool, and then drop the ball. Could that happen? Obviously. There's always that possibility. But who knows? We're going to have to wait. The next book comes out in August, I believe. Is it August? No. Is it August? No, it's September, I believe. Hold on. No, it is August. It is August. That's weird. That's weird that it's coming out in August. It's still 6 months after this book, but that's just strange. I don't know. But, we have some time to think about it. We have time to theorize, to wait, to figure out what we want. And who knows? With the synopsis hopefully coming out next month or two, we'll hopefully get a clearer idea about what's to come. Before we end the video, I have a couple of miscellaneous things I want to talk about. So there's a side plot in this book where one of Tigerstar II's and Dovewing's children, I don't remember their name, they want to move to SkyClan to be with someone they fancy. They have a crush on someone, they want to move to SkyClan so they can be with them. That's a thing that happened in like the Broken Code or Starless Clan where people can clan switch. It's not important, really, at least not at the moment. And they are vehemently against this, which is weird. And Tawnypelt notes it's weird because Dovewing and Tigerstar did this. They left Dovewing, who is the most aggressive and anti their kid leaving. She was the one who left ThunderClan to be with Tigerstar. They ran away. They had kids. They almost destroyed ShadowClan for some contrived reason or another. And yet, they're angry about this. And Tawnypelt rightfully calls them hypocrites. She says, you guys are stupid. He's doing exactly what you guys did. What are you talking about? And the thing is, they acknowledge they're hypocrites, but they don't do anything. Which is weird and stupid. And I actually asked someone about this. Is Tigerstar II just stupid? And the answer I got was, yes. Yes, he is. Which is very funny, but also like, okay. I mean, I know leaders are supposed to be like narrative obstacles and are supposed to be sometimes be stupid, but not this stupid. Come on. I mentioned the slips in time that the cat can see. It's possible that this malicious voice is lying, but at the same time, if this is their way of like saying that seeing in the future explicitly is true, like we've had vague glimpses into the future, but this isn't like a vision. This is slips in times, The implications of that are really weird. Like it's like the prelude to saying that time travel exists in Warrior Cats. Which, yeah, it kind of does with like the whole Jay's Wing thing, but that's always been very vague and non-specific and kind of been explained away as like dreams or memories or something else stupid. To explicitly, prelude time travel, it's just wild. It'd be funny if they actually did something with that, but I don't know. That's kind of up to them. Also, aside, there was like a tease for the journey, which like, if they do something interesting with it, then it could be cool. If it's just a rehash of Dawn and its great journey, then that's stupid, but we'll see. Also, they said like a storm's on the horizon. There's theories that Storm Clan's going to be involved. Do we really need a sixth clan? Do we really need a sixth clan? I don't know. Again, if they do something interesting with it and unique, then I think I'll be fine with it. But at least the concept, like on paper, the concept is not something I'm on board with, personally. I know other people have different thoughts about that, and that's fine. People are allowed to their own opinions. But yeah, that's The Elder's Quest, the first book in the Changing Skies arc of Warrior Cats. What do you guys think? Did you like the book? Did you not like the book? Did you think it was also dark? Let me know down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a nice day.